That's good. So I'll have this 50 seconds to mute and I can watch here. Yeah, maybe I need to turn do not disturb so they don't disturb me. And also with the phone, I think I will go with the phone directly with.
Hello and welcome everyone to another live stream with me, Christian Rauchenwald, today on this beautiful, what do we have actually, Tuesday. Today, as you all know, we are having a special guest, somebody that's already in the Helium Network or involved in Helium Network for quite some time. And his name is, I hope I pronounce it right, Hristo. He is basically the founder of HeliumMart, and you will get to meet him in a second. And yeah, he's somebody that's involved in Helium Network and by himself operates hundreds of hotspots as well. And therefore, he is the go-to resource to get answers about Helium Network, the future of Helium Network, the potential use cases, and the potential price development of the Helium tokens, which right now are HNT, IoT, and mobile. And yeah, with further ado, I think we'll jump into it. I'll just push the button so you guys can see and then hear him as well. Here is Hristo Antanasov. Hi, Hristo.
Hi, Christian.
Yeah, thank you for making the time. Guess I will we'll start off by everyone that's not part of Helium Network yet. You can check the pinned chat message to check out HeliumMart.com, which is Hristo's business that basically delivers anything from hotspots to antennas to IoT devices. So everything that you need to join Helium Network, no matter if you want to earn your own tokens by operating your own hotspot, or if you're just looking for IoT devices that work on Helium Network. And with that, we actually will jump to the first thing that people probably want to know about you. So can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you became involved in Helium Network?
So yeah, about myself, I'm actually with a long background of doing online marketing and e-commerce, but I also have IT background. I have studied mathematics, and let's say I have like pretty good IT and understanding of IT in general, networks and so on. And because of this, I also had this experience with working for a cloud company and for hosting company, which I even got to know networks even better. And by the way, I myself, I bought my first partial Bitcoin, let's say, I think it was in 2014, but not exactly sure about that. Like playing with it, I had friends, and then I stopped. For me, this was like something very imaginary and very, how to say, very, yeah, like virtual, you know.
Yeah, like just.
And I didn't see in the beginning. I didn't see the benefits.
Yeah, the use
of,
case,
crypto and blockchain. Yes. And of course, because I'm in this IT stuff, I was following last couple of years, the crypto market as well, playing a little bit with it, let's say, but nothing too invested, you know. And when I found out about Helium, this was for me, this is it. This is the thing that blockchain is built for. And I will tell you why, because internet, by definition, is built to be decentralized. But now it is not. It's centralized. Like the main, internet providers, they are very few companies own, let's say, route the main traffic for countries, like 2, 3, 5, maybe up to 10 for companies like Germany. And I don't know exact numbers, but just knowing how things go. For example, here in Bulgaria, like a smaller company, we have 3 companies that route all the international traffic.
Yeah. And they obviously have control with that and could also say, okay, like if the government, like for example, in China, where they have the Great Firewall and the internet providers in China are forced to basically restrict access to certain services and websites. And so it's not really decentralized. It's not free. Your internet provider, either on their own or because the government forces them to, basically, can restrict certain things. And that's obviously a decentralized blockchain is there, obviously, like a big advantage. Just like in the financial sectors, where blockchain technology means, okay, instead of having your bank that can just lock you out of your bank account, you have like your bank balance stored on the blockchain, decentralized, and therefore it's safe. But yeah, that's cool. So so you discovered Helium very early, or like later on? So personally, I learned about Helium and I ordered my first Helium hotspots when there were 90,000 hotspots already onboarded on the network. So how about you? Like, when did you get your, like, roughly, like, when did you jump on board?
A little bit earlier. I think there were like 20, 30, but the let's say gold rush was already starting.
Yeah.
And this was like 2 years ago, to a little bit more than 2 years already.
Yeah, it should be,
but like
3 years or not. Like it's time just flies. It's so hard to remember like when exactly.
No, 2 years. 2021. Actually.
Was it? Yeah, like, yeah, you're probably right. Like, I really have trouble keeping the dates straight. Yeah. No, you're probably
2021, right. It's like a little bit more than 2 years, like beginning of 2021.
Irina and I were already in Kiev when we ordered our first hotspots. Yeah. And yeah, so that was 2021. Yeah, we moved there in December 2020. So yeah, that was 2021, definitely. Yeah. So yeah. And so yeah, so you got.
Yeah, but this was time already when I ordered. They were still, I think, between 20 and 30, just like by memory, not exactly sure, but it was something like this. But they were already like a lot of orders, and they started coming out very quickly, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe less than a month later, I still didn't have mine in my possession. I just ordered them. And
which still was lucky back then, because like I ordered mine in February 2021, the first one, I think, and it was, the website said it will be there in like 2 months, and then it actually took like 6 or 7. And the second ones I ordered in May, and they took like 9 months or so to arrive. And there are people, obviously, as we know in Helium Network, which is one of the problems, some of the manufacturers just basically accepted more orders than they could handle. And so there are people that waited more than a year, which on one hand is a good sign for the project, because it meant there was like a huge demand for people building the network. On the other hand, it was a problem because the manufacturers couldn't deliver that amount, and which caused then some dissatisfaction. And obviously also some people, when they don't get something in time, they tend to then scream, oh, it's a scam, or blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Which actually already brings us to the, probably, well, very fitting, the next question. What are, in your opinion, some of the biggest misconceptions or myths that people might have about Helium Network, and like, how do you usually address them? So like, what are like some wrong beliefs that people have about the network?
One of them is that it's a scam.
Yeah.
And this myth became because you know, to be honest, no offense please, but like YouTubers and influencers created this hype. And also the crypto market was at this point at the peak, and a lot of conditions combined for Helium when it exploded. It really exploded. You know, the founders themselves said numerous times that they didn't plan to the network to grow
that fast,
so quickly, so much. You know, it became like from you know, it took, because 2021 August was the first halving, so you had 2 years, let's say year and a half, to get to 20,000 or 30,000 hotspots, something like this.
Yeah.
And then year and a half, and then you have another year to get to 1 million.
Yeah, it's really insane, and I completely agree with you about the part with YouTube, because like it's one of the challenges that I'm constantly facing, because it's like either you create content, or when you create content, you obviously want to attract people to watch your videos, and so there are definitely many YouTubers out there that just make, okay, order this device and whatever, make $300 per day or per month, whatever, and just so they get views on YouTube and affiliate commission from the hotspot vendors. And then people order it, and then their hotspot arrives a year later, and after that there's a halving in between, and then there are way more hotspots, which means the pool of rewards that gets shared is shared not among 100,000 hotspots, but among 500,000 or 1 million. So suddenly, instead of 300 per month, and then we also had then the decline in crypto, so the start of the crypto winter in quotes, then suddenly instead of 300 per month, you're looking at like $3 per month, and then people obviously scream it's a scam. Yeah, but I completely agree. So there is plenty of YouTubers that just focus on like their own pockets and how to get the most clicks by making outlandish claims without clarifying, hey, it will change over time.
Yeah, let's not put labels, but it's work, like they don't lie to their customers.
Yeah, at the time the information is correct.
Whole thing created the hype, like this, like your colleagues, they don't have the this like on purpose. We will make them buy. They will not know that in 1 year it will not be the same.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also
from the point of view of this moment, it looked like Helium will only grow.
The price went up, more hotspots,
the price will go even up, and this will compensate for this, but this cannot last forever.
Yeah, that's in every area of life, so it doesn't matter which industry we look at. Growth, always there's like, you have a growth phase, and then you have a corrective phase, and then basically ideally you have the next growth phase. And yeah, like it's also partially well, on one hand, obviously YouTubers like me, in quotes, are to blame for like sharing certain content and maybe not in a video packing all the information, also like consider next year's a halving and whatnot. But on the other hand, it's obviously also people then watch a video, they see, oh, that device, I can buy it for $300 and it will earn me this, I'm going to just buy it without doing any additional research. Yeah, so it's like, I think, but you're completely right.
Especially if you saw some video that is 1 month old, when someone is telling you that he's making $300 per day. But the video is already 1 month old, and then you don't do a research and you order something that will wait a couple of months.
Yeah.
Here I'm like with how to say pure conscious from my point of view, and from the work with you also and so on, because we were always putting longer
delivery times,
dates that we actually were executing, and we were always putting some insurance for us. But anyway, this is over, this is
that's an issue of the past. That's true.
But this created this myth, because a lot of people just bought something. I know people, I myself, during the gold rush, there were people that try, what do you think? I will buy 10 hotspots from you with my credit card. How quickly I can pay for them? And I said, no, please don't buy from me. Don't put your credit card there. It's you can like profit very fast, but you can also lose your money.
It's
please
like,
don't take credit for something that you don't know what will happen.
With risk involved. It's like,
put the money you want to. I ordered, my first order for me before we created the business was 5 miners. I calculated that 5 miners, this money I can afford to lose, even like in the peak,
That, by the way, reminds me, as usual, for everyone watching, so what we are sharing here are our personal opinions, and in no way financial or professional advice of any kind. You should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions, and make your own decisions. So that's really an important aspect. So always do a little bit of your own research. We try to cover everything. I try to cover everything in my videos, but it's not always possible. So always do a little bit of extra research, especially if you watch this video in a couple months from now instead of live right today. Then check if all the information that you get from here is still accurate or if something changed. Thanks for the reminder. Almost forgot to share the disclaimer.
That's why it's disclaimer important.
And But it's true. It's same like when Bitcoin first reached $20,000 in the first rally it had, and then people were buying Bitcoin with credit card because they believed it will just continue, and then it dropped. Yeah, and then people have like their credit card maxed out, but the Bitcoins don't have that value anymore, and you basically just created a pile of debt with like 13% interest rate on it. So yeah, never always only invest what you can afford to lose, especially in higher risk projects. Yeah. Yeah, you already mentioned it. So that you bought 5 miners and that you then basically, that was before you started to launch the business HeliumMart.com. So then with HeliumMart.com, basically you are delivering, or yeah, you are selling hotspots, IoT devices, sensors, antennas, and so on. But you're also hosting hotspots. So you and your company are basically operating a huge number of hotspots. So my question there would be like, what is your approach to hosting hotspots? How many hotspots do you currently operate? So in terms of like, what matters to you when you, for example, decide, okay, we're gonna set up a new hotspots? Like, is the location the most important thing, or like, how do you go about the whole thing?
So we're not hosting, we're operating.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
One part of the business we did is kind of, we got a couple of friends that wanted to invest in helium, and but they cannot manage them. So I offer them, okay, we're going to do this, and if you want, you can join. So you buy the hotspots, we find where to place them, and then we manage them for you. So we make like 3 ways revenue share with hosts and with investors, and some small fee for us. Of course, we have our own, and yes, we host in a way that we provide the location with some contract, but most of them we created a network of partners, which in the same attitude that this is a risk investment. Of course, during the way we made some mistakes, and we had some locations that we pay for like fixed amount or something like this.
That are right now not profitable, yeah.
Few enough, let's say, that we can correct this, and we could correct this. But mainly, like, we work with small local internet providers or people that have access to a lot of locations. They already have the internet connection, the equipment, the team that they maintain this equipment, you know. Yeah. And we partner with them. They provide the location. They have it already, and this is how we spread. Of course, because they have enough locations, we could choose. Of course, not all of them are the perfect, because sometimes you choose a location and things change, you know, because someone else installs, or
you can suddenly have 5 hotspots next to you.
Yeah, some of the first hotspots we installed, we had everything prepared like upfront, you know, everything, boxes, like antennas even, because we had everything. We just didn't have the hotspots, and we were waiting for them. We had routers, internet, like everything set up, just waiting for the hotspot to be installed. And because we had some issues with our first 2 batches of my sites, so we made a way that we took our hotspots like a little bit later, and like made some manipulations so the customers can get their hotspots first. So we are honest to them, you know. So we don't lie to no one about delivery dates and so on. So and like we were late, and my side split to different batches and so on and so on. It was kind of crazy time, and we were late with installing some of those, and there were already some others in some locations around.
That then your
even people started hating us because they blame us for ruining the transmit scales, you know.
But at the end of the day, if you have a location, you install your hotspot, especially if you have agreements in place. So, like, just out of curiosity, like, I'm sure many people are wondering, like, how many hotspots are you operating or managing? Like,
around roughly 400.
Oh, that's like a decent number.
Decent,
yeah.
Not the biggest possible.
They're all in Bulgaria.
We have in Bulgaria, Greece, Macedonia, and Malta.
Okay, so
and if I can use the platform, we are open for partnerships. So you can write me here, Discord, no matter, or just on the website you can use the contact forms.
Just
and
check out
HeliumMart
HeliumMart.com
for partnerships, but this kind, not like Emirates partnership that you get one hotspot installed somewhere. But this kind of partnership with small companies that have locations and so on.
So if somebody, for example, has a lot of
over Europe,
if somebody, for example, has a lot of real estate in some European country, they can reach out to you and say, hey, I have real estate there. There's already an internet connection potentially. So, and
Airbnbs, for example.
That's actually, that's something we just last week went on a short spontaneous trip and also used an Airbnb. And I'm always thinking I should just pack a hotspot and install it there. Like somewhere anyway, the hosts will never notice. The cleaning lady doesn't care. But Airbnb is definitely a great location because all of them have internet already that they're paying for. So why not run a hotspot to first of all provide coverage for Helium Network, but on the side earn additional crypto. So with 400 hotspots, and especially when they're in multiple countries, how do you ensure that they're all operating reliably and also ensure the security of those hotspots in terms of that nobody can tamper with them, or how do you maintain them? I mean, probably nobody is getting in a car or in a plane to go to Macedonia or wherever because a hotspot is not reachable. So like, do you have a team for that?
We have a VPN. And set up everything, but in Macedonia we have the local provider, so he has a team.
Okay, that's cool. So they take care of,
like, this is how we do, because they have the team, they have the people on the ground that manage their own equipment. And we use locations that they have access to. It's not like somewhere that no one can go. Sometimes we may have some interruption for a couple of days or a week, not like going immediately up, but this is part of the game,
I mean, and to be fair, I mean, if you have 400 hotspots, you also have the benefit, even if 1 or 2 or 5 of them are not working right now for 2 or 3 days, you still have the majority of them operating. So on average, your coverage that you offer and also the HNT earnings that you generate with them are relatively consistent, I would assume. I mean, obviously they are slightly declining if we consider a growth in the network and then the halvings that happen from time to time. But it's not like when somebody has one hotspot that hotspot isn't working, that suddenly it goes from 100% to 0. So, but it's cool if you have those partnerships in place.
Unless there is some big change and the hotspots weren't updated, but this is something that we do remotely. So at least, it's more like connected when you have the new miner software, firmware, and so on and so on. And sometimes we are very quick. We work very closely with the manufacturers, and usually we have everything very, very quick, like updates as soon as possible. Sometimes it takes more time, sometimes it takes less. And for example, now it's harder for the manufacturers to update all their like manufacturer apps and so on.
Because now they have to update their apps because the Helium
work with Solana.
Exactly.
And they start learning Solana, because before they had the time while manufacturing. For example, we were working, I think you also had one of these first hotspots that were like demo hotspots before everything else arrived, because they were like we had some samples that we gave to you and to a couple other influencers to test, and we had the time to test, and the first firmware was like almost nothing, but we still could test it.
And now the hotspots are all live.
Could learn on it, what's not right, what's good, and we had these 2 months, and then as soon as hotspots reached the market, we started making updates every week, like every week.
And now it's basically now basically all the hotspots are live, and they have to develop they don't have 2 months to get it done. They have to develop with products that are already live. Now you mentioned basically that you're in like closer connections or closer contact, obviously, with some of the manufacturers, since you're distributing their products and so on, and that you're operating 400 hotspots. Now, obviously, the average person out there doesn't have the connections or the investment to say, okay, I'm now going to buy hundreds of hotspots and going to set them up across the country or countries. So in your opinion, which benefits do people get from participating in Helium Network by becoming a hotspot operator, so by getting their own hotspot? Like, what's in it for them? So
So first, let's say not a financial advice first, again, disclaimer.
Yeah.
But first, in my opinion, now is the good time. A lot of hotspots are for one reason or another are turned off. And if you look at it as a really long-term investment, and if you look at it as something that you don't care when it will pay off, it will come and it will pay off maybe in 5, in 10 years, doesn't matter. But imagine this, again, not a financial advice, not a like forecast, but let's say if helium reaches like Bitcoin did, Bitcoin in like 2009, like there was the first attempt to sell Bitcoin. There was someone that was selling 10,000 Bitcoin for $50 and no one wanted to buy them. Imagine if you bought them for $50 because this is kind of pocket money, and then forget about them. How much are they right now? And so let's say in 10 years, if helium costs, let's say 1,000, which is possible, some people predict even more. And again, not forecast, not a financial advice, important, but let's imagine it, but then when it is 1,000, then hotspots will be more, 5G, 5G sales will be more. Maybe there will be another networks, because this is the other idea of helium in general, like decentralized networks, VPNs and Wi-Fi and so on and so on. All this stuff working on them will pile up. It will get more use, and as more helium is used, the more the price will increase in future. So but then at this point, it will not happen overnight. It will become with more hotspots, more players. So one hotspot will again learn less, because it will not, if you now can earn, like you said, let's say $3 per month or $5 per month, because let's say you earn 3 or 5 HNT, which is around $2, and you're not going to earn 3 HNT 1,000 each,
Yeah. You're gonna earn less
so
HNT.
Better earn them now and have them in future. But this works if you don't have the credit card, if you don't have something.
Yeah, if you have spare money to invest.
This is cool. I want to support it because the network is working. We're not having only, actually the other topic, we can use it like a transition to the other topic that we were speaking to discuss here. We are actually also ahead with time already.
Yeah.
So the network is being used. I can tell you that right now we have a couple hundred sensors with different use cases that we work for. We are partnering already with another IoT companies to provide them with hardware and with connectivity. And we're working, for example, on two pilot projects for water meters that will install thousands of water meters in different areas. And this is just starting. We are now doing pilot projects. Just this part, it's going really, really slow. First, there is something already there. A lot of IoT companies, when I was in Berlin a couple of weeks ago for the Helium meetup, I met with a couple IoT companies, and one of them was like colleague of ours. They have their own shop selling helium stuff, but they said themselves to me, I prefer to build other network because it's easier for me. It's for me. He wants to build his own network, and he says, I built on Helium network only if the customer wants this. So all these guys that already are like 10 years in the business, they have everything else. They're working on their proprietary networks that they build, or they're working on the other public networks that are still proprietary because they're closed and so on. They're not open sourced. And they work with them, you know. So to start having more and more devices on Helium, it will just take time. We're working for this already a lot, like already more than a year. We are mainly focused on IoT solutions, more on Helium. We are exclusive on Helium anyway. So
we got a little bit off topic here, but you also already cut into two important things. The first one, obviously, for Helium Network to be used, first of all, there had to be the network coverage. Now there is like 1 million hotspots worldwide. With that, there is coverage in most major cities, if not all major cities on this planet, also many rural areas, which means now the coverage is there, and only with the coverage there, IoT device manufacturers can finally make the decision and say, okay, we're going to build devices that work on Helium Network. Because if in the whole of US I would have 5 hotspots, well, then no manufacturer will say, let's build devices on a network that has coverage in one town and nowhere else. So it takes time, because it took time to build the network. Now the network is there, the network is working. So now it's time for the IoT device manufacturers to start to build devices that take advantage of Helium Network. That's one point. But going back to the original question, you also already mentioned it, that we actually are cutting into another area here. So how do people benefit from joining Helium Network? I mean, one thing is obviously you earn the HNT, or you used to earn HNT, now you earn IoT tokens, or if you have a 5G hotspot in the US, also mobile tokens. And on top of that, however, one thing that it's completely from like going completely the other direction, but we talk about the benefit of joining Helium Network. On top of that, you also currently on your heliummart.com website are basically gathering feedback as to which services Mary IoT should include in their new upcoming multi-mining, which for those of you that are now have no idea what that is, it basically means, if you think about the original hotspots, they had to do way more work. So they were so-called full hotspots that also had a copy of the blockchain and so on. But over time, Helium improved, got better. So the hotspots don't need to do that anymore, which means they have processing power that is unused. And multi-mining simply means if you have a hotspot, or in that case, a Mary IoT hotspot, that is a full hotspot and has spare resources, that other than just being a hotspot for Helium Network, you can also then install other services on it, like, for example, bandwidth sharing apps that you probably know from my channel already, so that basically pay you for sharing the bandwidth of your internet connection, which means that then with the hotspot itself, it not only does earn you cryptocurrency on the Helium network, but on top of that, it potentially earns you then other cryptocurrency if the bandwidth sharing provider pays out in cryptocurrency, or offers you a PayPal payout or an Amazon gift card, whatever. So that's definitely something that I wanted to throw in here as well. It's definitely important or to consider. So when you calculate when will there be your return of investment for a Helium hotspot, don't just calculate with the earnings from Helium Network, especially if we look at the Mary IoT hotspots, but also consider that multi-mining is coming, that your hotspot actually will then earn more. If we, for example, just mention one bandwidth sharing provider that probably will make it in the multi-mining selection, which would be Honeygain, their average earnings per user in the year are between $100 and $150 per year. Now, disclaimer here, those earnings vary by country. So if you're in India, it's probably more $20 per year. If you're in the US, it's probably more in the $100 per year range. But still, it means extra money for you just for having a hotspot that barely uses any electricity. Then you already cut into the part that you mentioned. You are now focusing on building use cases. So basically working with IoT device manufacturers or people that need solutions or have problems that can be solved with IoT devices. So can you share any success stories or interesting use cases? You mentioned, water meters. Yeah, water meters. But other than that, any interesting success stories, use cases that you personally already experienced or worked on or saw that use Helium Network? So maybe think of like fancy use cases. I mean, we all know, like, I recently, thanks again for the IoT devices, made the unboxing of like the door opening sensor, CO2 sensor, water leak sensor, and so on. But maybe, for example, a use case that's not as daily in quotes. So that's something that most people wouldn't think of, but where Helium Network is actually the perfect solution.
So Helium Network is a perfect solution for a lot of things. And by the way, what you're mentioning, for example, the leak detector, I have given it for a lot because it's more like LoRaWAN, not helium, but the idea is that we already have helium, you know. So LoRaWAN leak detector can work this like Mary IoT that you have unboxed there. It can work 8 years on battery. And for leak detection, this is very important to set and forget it there, you know. The of course, open close, CO2, they're interesting gadgets, but let's say there are also alternatives. Better or worse, you know, every product has its ups and downs and like pros and cons anyway. So trying to be objective here, but leak detectors, it's something that you really want to set and forget. It may be even in your basement, and most probably
it literally is in the basement now.
Yeah, and it has coverage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Most
it's really cool.
Other technologies, first will be more battery hungry, and second will not have coverage.
Yeah, that was
and here the LoRaWAN is
that was really one of the things when we first talked about the IoT devices. I actually was thinking, okay, well, we already have our Apple smart home. Like, what do I need these devices for? And then eventually it hit me, even for us. So no industrial use case or so. But in our building, our basement is so far down that there is no Wi-Fi. So even if I wanted to, I could not put a solution there that works on Apple HomeKit. But the helium coverage there is also excellent. So I tried it. When I open the basement door, I get notified pretty much instantly. When I shortcut the leak detector, notified instantly. So it's like really a great solution. The moment, I mean, either you have everything in that area, so you don't have an Apple HomeKit or Google, whatever it's called, or you just have some remote locations. And as you say, really valid point with your leak detector, it doesn't require to be plugged into power. The battery lasts very long. I mean, there are other solutions out there. I mean, we talked about it, that there are leak detectors that would require to be plugged into the power socket. But then on the other hand, depending on where you have the leak, you might actually have a short circuit, so that you might not get the notification. Whereas with the Mary IoT leak detector, it's small, it's compact, and you just put it somewhere. I mean, I have it like next to the entry of our basement, basically, because that's the only way where water would come in. It would short, and even if the electricity would go out, because there are a ton of other Helium Network hotspots that would pick up the signal, I would still get the notification, hey, there is water damage in the basement, or there's now water leakage. So that's really one of the, we chatted, so you know that originally I was skeptical, but thinking about it, I really realized it's actually the way better product than any of the Apple HomeKit leak detectors or so that are out there. Yeah. But other than that, maybe I don't know, in the industrial areas, most people probably focus on like, how can I use it? And if I don't have a use case, well, then it's worthless. But and miss the thing that actually the real revenue, in quotes, in terms of data credits and so on, will probably not come from individuals like me, but will come probably from big corporations that might use it for, I don't know, to track their deliveries or do other things. Like, what other industrial use cases are there that you think have like big application, or where Helium Network will be, or IoT devices that run on LoRaWAN/Helium Network will have a big application?
Yeah, so first, water meters. Water meters, best case solution is LoRaWAN. We have water meters that are like capsulated. You cannot open and change the batteries because they're usually somewhere where it's wet.
Yeah.
And they need to protect all the electronics inside, because our water meters are also ultrasonic with a processor in there that can detect if you have also can detect leakage, but it can detect also leakage that the leak detector cannot detect, like your toilet thing, I'm not sure how it's called, is broken and it just goes water all around. And this will be detected by the water meter, or the sink is something broken.
So when something is slightly leaking, so it's like a little bit of water constantly running, then it would tell you, hey.
And it will send you notification and say, come on, you here, and you're wasting water, and it can calculate you in like cubic meters and in
how much you're wasting.
You know?
Yeah, that's cool.
So, and when you calculate it, you really quickly will see that you need to fix it and it will be cheaper, you know?
Yeah. That's
so, if they are freezing, if they're dry as well, so you know if there's some issue with the water supply in the neighborhood and your water meter is dry and there is no water inside, because this means that maybe the whole building or the neighborhood doesn't have water, and a lot of things like this, you know. And it can communicate in real time. You can see what's going on, and so on and so on. And it can work for 12 years on battery. So
yeah, that's incredible.
Is something like LoRaWAN, you know, there is nothing better than LoRaWAN for this. And on top of that, Helium already has coverages in the cities.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's what we talked about earlier. So like in every big, yeah. And just in comparison,
we have already couple pilot projects. We have a couple hundred water meters, but as I told you, we are working already on couple projects for thousands. Just for example, this, I want to give you the perspective. This is something that we are working already months. For example, we have a pilot in one county here in South Bulgaria that we are doing it with partners, and they have given like 50 water meters for test. But you know, these guys that are working for the water supply company, this is something new for them. It's hard to do. So already 2 months, they're installing these 50. Yeah. They now want another 100. You know, it's not their focus. As soon as they decide, like the company decides, we put this everywhere, then we're going to like install thousands per month. Yeah. You know? But because it's a pilot, this is something that they don't understand.
It's not a priority. You know, people don't like change.
Some technicians that they think for something else, they think about the water and so on and so on. It's going very slow. So we are working already a couple months on this project, and we have 50 water meters that now they ask us for 100 more to continue the test. We're going to have a meeting with them next couple of days, discuss this and so on, you know.
It's always slow,
say, okay, test proof of concept, like pilot project over, we go for this. They run their like public tenders and so on and so on, and the project starts. There will be like thousands per month being installed, and this is like work, and we're putting on the pile, and at some point the wheel starts rotating, you know.
Yeah, it takes time to get the ball rolling, but once it's rolling, it's then unstoppable. Yeah,
exactly. And also something else which I'm working on here to explain to our, how to say, government companies, because the water supply companies in Bulgaria they're companies but owned either by the municipality or the government, or mixed, some way mixed. There is a EU like directive for using open source everything is, if possible, and Helium is open source network. It's not proprietary network. You don't go for, so in general, as soon as everything is set up, they should prefer this than
because it's open source
public network.
That's actually a good outlook. Which actually already brings us, you already mentioned that the wheels are turning slow, especially so when people are confronted with new things and when it's just a pilot test, which means it's like low priority. But so what are some of the other challenges and, on the other hand, opportunities that you think like are currently there with Helium Network and will be there for the next years to come? I mean, we already covered that Helium Network should be considered right now a long-term investment. You shouldn't expect the gold rush is over. You shouldn't be expecting to like make a fortune in a month or so. But so what are like the challenges along the road? So if we say like it's a 5 to 10 year investment, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, what's on the road for Helium Network, the steps that they have to overcome, but also the chances,
Let me just, because we got very deep into the water meters, I just very briefly, without going to discussion, because it will take maybe another hour, but just to like point couple other like big use cases that you can see, and I can tell you from my experience, we are working on them. So also we're working on smart waste management, this like ultrasound sensors in the bins that can measure if it's full or not. Another smart city solution that Helium is there, it has coverage, very easy to go. Smart city lights, we're working on.
Now I'm sorry for interrupting. I was now thinking like, pardon my French, why the fuck would I need a sensor to tell me if my garbage is full? But you obviously mean the garbage cans that are on public roads and so on, so that the government doesn't have to waste time to drive to trash cans that are not full, and that they don't have a trash can that's overflowing because they're too late to empty it. But they would basically be able to check and look on a map and say, okay, today we have to empty, or now we have to empty this, and this trash can. So they can optimize their routes, they waste less time, they waste less gasoline, resources, and so on. And basically they don't waste time to drive to trash cans that are half full or empty, and they don't miss out emptying trash cans that are already full, that usually they might only check tomorrow or in 2 days, when the garbage is all around. So that's actually really a cool use case, yeah. So yeah, that's really, I didn't think of that.
Colleagues from Slovakia,
yeah,
which are Heliotics, they're also like Helium company. They already have software that is optimizing the road based on what is fuel, what is not, and prognosis. Let's say we have one bin full here, but on the next street we have one that is half full, but we know from
in an hour it will be full.
That it will be full tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we tomorrow don't come here again in this neighborhood because
yeah, exactly. So we take it also today
as well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Like smart thing, maximum optimized, you know.
Honestly, that's really cool, and that's really the point. I said, like, I personally usually attend. Everybody asks himself, "What's in it for me? How does it help me?" But I would have in 100 years not have come up with an idea. Oh, why not use it to monitor public trash bins to basically make the government work more efficient, which also means the government wastes less tax money, which means it can use the money for other things that help the people in the country, or for like buying a politician a new yard. Either way, it saves money on one end, and makes things more efficient, which is really honestly, it's really great. Like, I really didn't expect that. So that was the smart trash bins, and what was the other one that you were getting into before I interrupted you?
Smart city lights as well, the same thing.
So like with motion sensor, or so
what?
smart city?
No. Two things generally.
Yeah.
A motion sensor, there is like these developments on this, but this is very expensive. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And imagine if you have the motion sensor is something very next level, you know. But imagine very simple thing. You have a device that first measures the electricity there, voltage, current, and so on. So you know how they work, if they are on or off, if they're working, let's say some.
Okay, so you have a whole city with, I don't know, 100,000 bulbs, and you get notifications. Okay, you don't have to wait for some people to complain our lights are broken there, but you get immediate notification. Okay, tomorrow we'll have to go to this road and that road because that light is broken and that light is broken. So yeah, I get it. So
exactly. Yeah. And also then I can control them. And right now with the new things that come in Helium, and with the new open LoRa network server, we have already the Class C devices, so we can also control them.
So you can also turn them
on and off. And we can change the time that, because usually
I just wanted
by clock.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I'm actually going to interrupt you, but you just said it already. Guys, if imagine that, like, think about, like, for example, in our small village where we live now, I think at 10 p.m. the lights go on, but it's not always dark at 10 p.m. or maybe they go on at 9 p.m. doesn't matter, but it's not always dark, so they go on too early. And if we talk maybe about a city like Munich, maybe a city like New York or so, if the lights go on too early for an hour, then worldwide, I don't know how many million of lamps that burn half an hour too soon or half an hour too long, how much electricity that wastes. Whereas if you can configure it to say, okay, we time it with the sunrise and sundown, or I don't know, maybe in the future there's a combination with some brightness sensor that actually measures how much light is there. Okay, not enough light, turn them on. enough light, turn them off or so. How much electricity can be saved that way? And also in terms of light bulbs, they all have a lifetime for how many hours they should survive. And if they then each run whatever, half an hour less, how much longer each light bulb lasts, which means how much less waste and less money has to be spent on replacing light bulbs. So again, like honestly, like really appreciate that you share those things because I would have not thought of them. So really, really cool projects. Yeah. So any other projects in that direction, or so any other use cases that you personally?
Other use cases, for example, like tracking trucks, and not just tracking trucks because GPS trackers, they're everywhere. For trucks, even the 4G GPS trackers are better because usually these GPS trackers that are in the truck, they're very sophisticated. A lot of data there about how the engine is working, how much fuel you use, and so on and so on. But something that is much harder to do is like open close sensor on the on the back of the truck.
Yeah, on the loading doors. Yeah. So whatever it's called.
Loading doors, and also temperature sensor inside to monitor temperature, especially if it's food or something like this, And we're working on such projects right now. Also, GPS trackers, we're working on small machinery. Imagine on a building, on a building site, you have this big, big machines that I don't know how they're called, but like cranes,
caterpillars and so on. Yeah,
dig holes, caterpillars, but the big ones. They also have GPS systems inside, already built in by the companies with telemetry systems, usually over 4G and so on. But imagine how many smaller machines you have, like this big, or a little bit bigger, that don't have tracking, and these are the easier to lose or
get stolen. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then a small tracker based on helium that can work on battery, because these machines, they don't have they don't have engine.
Yeah,
I mean, connect them to power, but you connect them to power when you work with them.
Yeah, and when I steal them, I unplug them, so there's no power anymore. Yeah. Exactly. I'm not sure if it's legit in quotes, so I'm really not 100% sure, but on Reddit I saw a post of a sticker that supposedly works on Helium Network. So it really looks just like a sticker, so like 4 times 4 centimeters or so. And supposedly...
I'm very sorry that I cannot show it to you because it's sticked on my back of the laptop, which is.
But you have the sticker, so and that's so super cool because, like, I mean, it became the latest trends for people to buy Apple AirTags and put them into their luggage and whatnot, so that it doesn't get lost, stolen, and so on. Yeah. But if I were to steal a bag or so, I probably would just, as soon as I can, open it, take all the stuff outside, put it in my other bag, so I don't have to worry about some AirTag. Plus, if there's an AirTag inside and I carry the thing around, it will at some point, my phone will tell me, hey, there's an AirTag following you. And with like the sticker, like, I mean, of course, over years, people might figure out, or the thieves might figure out, okay, there is the sticker and it's a tracking sticker, but I could put the helium sticker. And because it's just a sticker, then I could put another sticker on top of it. I could put, I don't know, my favorite brand or something else on top of it. And if somebody were to steal my laptop, they would just see, oh, there's like some brand sticker or some, I don't know, sticker on it. And they wouldn't notice that below it, there might be the helium sticker that allows me to track where actually my device is. And the same if we think about like cars. So like an acquaintance of mine, like years ago, in the morning he woke up and he went out of the house, and where his car used to stand, there was only his radio, because the radio had the GPS integrated. So at night they stole his car. Whereas if you have a helium sticker, you just stick it somewhere, I don't know, in your glove compartment or in your trunk, and then they might remove the radio so that they think there's no GPS anymore, but you could then track your car still using Helium Network. So like, there are really some insanely great use cases where the biggest benefit is obviously you don't need it connected to power. It has like, I don't know, what's the battery lifetime of your sticker? Do you know that?
It can go up to 10 years, but just a disclaimer here, it doesn't have GPS inside. So we need to do a triangulation.
But
it's not very like precise, just to know. So you know, like approximate location, which sometimes is enough, sometimes not.
Okay.
Just
so yeah. great for correcting me there.
So, by the way, just to tell you, the stickers are actually used for temperature logging, because actually these guys, what they do is it's a data logger, so it has also memory, right? It remembers 10,000 temperature sites. Let's say you ship food, let's say cheese, somewhere to the other end of the world, and by law you need to have a diary what happens with just this cheese, so it can be sold after that. Let's say some diary company in Bulgaria sends to Germany, and then when it comes to Billa in Germany, Billa wants to see this diary.
That it was cooled all the way.
Otherwise, they will not put it on the
on the shelf. They cannot sell it otherwise. I get it.
So, but until now, you need to get this and read it with RFID something, Bluetooth and so on.
And this way you have it automated.
Actually, there are a lot of things like this, but let's say they're big as a cigarette box. We also have this from my side that is big as a cigarette box. It's still a logger, so it remembers, let's say, 10,000 positions of temperature every 10 minutes or every 30 minutes, but it also sends them through Helium, so you can identify if there is an issue earlier,
and not at the end when it, not at the delivery. Now,
so you have best of both worlds. Let's say from here, from Sofia to Germany, to Munich, let's say, like 80% of the time there will be no coverage on the highway, so it will not arrive. But as soon as it connects, it will send it.
It will share the data.
And you can still read it. You can still read its memory.
So you still get information earlier, but like out of personal interest, so you mentioned, okay, the location of the sticker is not exact, so you get an approximate location, which is used by triangulation. One thing there, or two things. One is a question. So if it uses triangulation, theoretically, if I have a higher hotspot density, so if there are more hotspots in the area, I would potentially, depending on if the packets go through different hotspots and not always the same one picks up the package, I would potentially get a more accurate location or not. So if more, and additionally,
and also the software will improve.
Of course, over time those things will all get better. It's like, we're at a very early stage here. And additionally to that, while the location might not be exact, but if, for example, like, I don't know, if somebody steals your car and you have a plus minus, I don't know how accurate it is, let's say plus minus 1 kilometer even, and you know the location of your stolen car, it's whatever was stolen in Germany and now it's maybe in Norway or so, but you know it plus minus 1 kilometer, that's more than enough to find a specific car. If you can then in that area basically drive around and look for same color and whatever, same rims.
Just tell the police.
Of course.
And have a truck the car, and
that's
maybe even in 3 kilometers radius.
And that's
the police is more than enough to find it.
Exactly.
They can go even.
But they wouldn't even think of that, and you could put that sticker pretty much anywhere, like under your hood, under again glove compartment. So, and which means they might remove your radio and your GPS from the car so that they think, oh yeah, we're good. But then they get caught because of a dumb sticker, like, so that's really like one of the cool things that I saw recently. So with all those things coming up, you obviously with HeliumMart, you're super involved in the deployment and development of use cases. So you mentioned the water counters, of course, and so on. But like two things combined. So obviously, how do you see, and I already know the answer, but I'm still gonna ask, how do you see Helium Network's potential impact on the IT industry, and how do you see the role of HeliumMart.com along the journey? So like, what's the vision there?
In longer journey, how to say?
Let's split it up. So like, how do you think, like, how big is going to be the impact that Helium Network has on the entire IT industry? So like all Internet of Things devices over the next couple of years, next 10 years, next decade?
So first, LoRaWAN networks are there for some time, but the way Helium did it, it really exploded. So it will open really a lot of use cases now that were not exactly possible so far for one or other reason. For example, we're with these water supply companies, we are now discussing to put some devices to monitor the system, let's say, because let's not go to details. And like these pumps that are pumping water from some from some of these
Reservoirs?
sorry, it's not a reservoir, these things, forgot the word, sorry.
No problem.
The river goes and then you have this like a pond, but artificial pond
Dam.
to collect water.
Dam. In German it's Damm, and in English it's probably dam. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So and then you have a pump to go somewhere, or maybe some reservoir sometimes, that doesn't matter. But then you have like pumps that pump water, so you have pressure in the pipes. And to monitor these pumps and so on. And these pumps are usually somewhere in the nowhere, and you have coverage for nothing. You have barely electricity and so on and so on.
Yeah, and nobody's gonna bother to install internet there.
Yeah. So for example, there, no company with a public network will make coverage there because they will sell it to no one else. But what we offer is that we provide the coverage for some maintenance fee that pays for our cost, because we are also not going to mine, but we still expand the network instead of just like, selling them everything, and with some profit, and then ask them to pay us for the installment, and then ask them to pay for the maintenance and everything, and it becomes much more expensive. And for the benefit of Helium, and that we have some mining effect, we can put this, but in the near village, we also will need, then later we will have the water meters. Then maybe someday someone will get lost in the woods, and we will have a Helium tracker, and we will have coverage there because of that. But this is like long way to come. And normal proprietary companies will not build coverage in this place because it will never pay for themselves just for one.
Do you think like how high do you think is the chance that like current IoT/smart device manufacturers will adapt and also in future generations of their existing devices offer like a Helium product? So because they're obviously, like when we talk about Apple HomeKit and Google Home and so on, there are already certain smart devices which are obviously not for industrial use, but more for private people. But do you think there will be, now that the coverage is there and now that also more and more use cases coming for Helium, that some of those manufacturers will also either add Helium support as like, so that the device works on whatever, Matter or Helium or Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, or like dedicated Helium devices? Like, that's like just what personally, like, what's your personal opinion? Like,
let's say there will be more and more devices and more integrations. It's if we go to details, it will take another 1
okay,
hour.
Yeah, I know we're already over time.
The LoRaWAN
Sorry for that.
Yeah, LoRaWAN itself is a little bit differently working, but based on your suggestion, I already sent the Homebrew, I think was
Homebridge. Yeah, like I mean, I literally
the Homebridge.
If you get
IoT,
if you get Mary IoT,
to get back to me if we can work on this. But the technology works in a way that it goes to the Helium LoRa network server, and and Matter works in a little bit different.
Matter is its own network. I get that. Yeah, but if there,
so for smart home, it's more like you can also not have LoRaWAN devices in your smart home, because then you need the LoRa network server to be in your home.
Yeah,
I have an idea about this, how you can have it in your home and it can work with Helium. But this is something for the far future, because it's big and it will happen slow.
That honestly, that
work on a product.
Ever since I met you, that's really one of the things I really like a lot about you, is that you constantly, like every time we talk, you it's not that you have some new idea that then never happens, but it's that you have a new idea, and the next time we talk, you actually are already 20% done and working on it, and it's like, or there's already a prototype, and so it's really cool to watch, and it's like crazy how creative you are, or like how many things you can come up with. Really very impressive, honestly, and it's always super fun to meet. Which I hope that we do again when you make it the next time to Germany, by the way. But we're already over time, and I still would have a lot of questions for you. So to not keep you too long and to make sure, I mean, we're now at like an hour or so.
Not sure if people will want to watch.
Yeah, like, I mean, I feel like we can consider scheduling another stream for another day in the future, but I feel like with an hour, that's like already for people to sit down and watch relatively long. And so I'm just gonna ask you, is there anything else that we didn't cover today that you definitely want people to know and that's really important, or that you want to share, other than go to HeliumMart.com and get your hotspot if you don't have one yet?
More like get some sensors, play with them, learn how they work, and soon I hope that we'll have some other nice stuff. Something interesting. Sorry,
yes,
that
go
we
ahead.
didn't mention, and it's actually part of our project. Very quickly. It's called, maybe we can put it later in the description because it's hard to pronounce, but it's called WDYB. It comes from whatdoyoubreathe.org. So this is our project, which we started in Bulgaria, installing CO2 sensors in schools. By the way, in the site there is info, and they will becoming more and more.
So it's WDYB.org. WDYB.org. Yeah.
Like abbreviature from whatdoyoubreathe.org.
Okay, but the website is also the abbreviation, or the website is like what do you breathe?
No, the website is abbreviation.
WDYD.
WDYB.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share that so that people can check it out. Yeah, great.
You see it, like what do you breathe is, you see the website.
Okay, yeah, so sorry for interrupting, but I just want to make sure that I shared in the chat for people to check it out if they want to. Please continue.
Exactly. So this one,
now I got you out of the loop.
This is something that's, it's our cause. We donated CO2 sensors to 3 schools and 1 kindergarten. Then we started making like events all the time. We do events on like different cities. Already went to 4 different cities. Already have more than 20 schools that participate. The English website is a little bit behind with the information, but what we try to keep it up, because mainly everything is happening in Bulgaria, but we want to grow it. And also, by the way, we're speaking with Nova Labs to support us, because mainly our partners right now are from Bulgaria, except of maybe IoT, which supported the project in the beginning. But anything else, like all companies, like we have the Bulgarian National Television, Bulgarian National Radio, our media partners going like all the time there, but still it's Bulgaria. It's the biggest in Bulgaria, but it's only in Bulgaria. And we're working now to grow on this. So whoever wants to participate, whoever wants to support the campaign, we're installing these sensors. By the way, our research is so far, we find that there is a big issue with this, especially with this energy efficiency programs that are running, schools making new windows, new like isolation and so on, so they can waste more energy or less energy and pay less bills and so on. But now they're like sealed, there is no air inside. Kids are like a lot of kids there and so on, so less air. And if they don't have ventilation, they need to open windows very often, because otherwise they start to have a lot of other issues because of that. As far as I know, in Germany, for example, you have this like regulation from the government for every public building in the country, you need to have these CO2 sensors already because of the corona. Because when there is high level CO2 means that there is less oxygen.
Yeah,
It means
it's
that
low
the
quality
air is
air.
not fresh.
Yeah.
It means the air is not fresh, and
Yeah.
if it's not fresh, then it means that there are a lot of viruses there. But it's not the only issue. But this is another big topic. Also, I just wanted to share this, and we already are installing hundreds of sensors only in the schools. So it is a huge opportunity for Helium because it's again easy. You set them there; they work for months on a battery, and they connect. You have the online the information, and the software like sends notifications to the teachers, to the directors. If there is issue somewhere, they need to do something, and so on and so on. So this is something interesting. Of course, it can be done with another technologies, but Helium rules,
Yes. Yeah. That's true. No, honestly, like, I mean, we've already been texting so much in the past, and every time I'm like, yeah, but what's in it for me? Or like, I don't think I need this, or that doesn't work for me. You always surprise me by pointing out the things that I'm honestly missing. And yeah, like, and today you even shared a lot of things that I've never would have thought of that just make me even. I'm bullish on Helium. I haven't sold a single HNT since we started operating our hotspots. Of course, in between when Helium had its all-time high, and now I have more HNT, but it's worth less than it was back then. Of course, in between I was like, why didn't I sell? Yeah, but I'm still bullish. I mean, everybody is that, like, okay, if I would have sold Bitcoin at that price, if I would have sold this at that price, and so on, yeah. But I'm super bullish on it, and that was before our call today, before you actually shared a couple of things that I never thought of, yeah, that are really cool, that just make me believe even more in the network, yeah. That it's really, in my opinion, of course, like with every project like this, and especially if you decide to or think about investing with every investment, there's always a chance of failure. It might be a smaller chance, bigger chance, doesn't matter, but there's always a chance of failure. But looking at the coverage that Helium Network now provides, and the use cases, the ones that I already knew of, the ones that you shared today, and all the use cases that you also don't know of yet, yeah, or that are yet to come. Yeah, it might take a couple of years for sure, because now the coverage is there, but it takes time for the IoT devices to also actually use that available coverage and get like wider reach, so that more IoT devices are actually in circulation that use Helium Network. But yeah, 5 to 10 years, I feel like is really like a decent outlook to say, okay, by then we know if Helium Network succeeded, or if maybe the small percent failure chance happened. I think it's unlikely. I really think there is it's a great project, especially because it also, even though the rewards right now might be in fiat value relatively low, but it rewards people for providing coverage. It's not rewarding some big corporations for doing it, which also makes it, in my opinion, more reliable, because instead of like one antenna somewhere that covers a whole small village and is connected with one internet connection that might fail, you suddenly in one village have 4, 10, 5, whatever hotspots. So even if somebody has no electricity at home or its internet is not working, well, the other hotspots are still working and providing coverage. So I really feel like I feel like Helium is here to stay, and I will keep holding our Helium tokens and the IoT tokens that we earn now. And I assume you're doing the same, also holding, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So last chance. Anything else you want to share? You want the audience to know? Obviously,
let's do another meetup, and
definitely
we can prepare also some presentations. I can show you if we're speaking about use cases. I can also show you like devices and software parts, so people can get a little bit better understanding how the whole thing works.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Let's do this on another video, because
so otherwise it gets too long.
For people,
okay, so now that I'm gonna actually just we already like the comments that we have, like most of it was already responded in the chat. So but last comment from Gusman Blackiak: I've been trying to get a Helium hotspot for so long, but they say there's not enough people in my area, but I don't know now. That's what was about a year ago. So there's the difference. So there are providers out there that offer you hotspot hosting. So we're basically if it's profitable for them, they would give you a hotspot for free or for a small fee, which basically means they are winning. They would make the profit. And however, if you want to get into Helium Network, you just have, again, do your research, consider what we shared in this video, but also do a little bit more research on your own to really be sure. Don't invest money that you cannot afford to lose and so. But then you can just use the link that's pinned in the chat message to go to HeliumMart.com. They are basically shipping hotspots, all over Europe and also for the US. So right now you have US frequency hotspots and European frequency hotspots, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So if you're in the US,
US, we don't hotspots for we have hotspots for US actually from my sites. They're a little bit more expensive. And like we have Mary IoTs, which are cheaper, but we have only EU version. So for
so if you're in Europe, check out HeliumMart.com.
Europe, Turkey, here around Europe, everything is working on the Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
But North America, they're working on the US.
And you should also check out right now on HeliumMart.com. They have a bundle offer where basically if you buy 4 or more IoT sensors, so it doesn't matter if it's like what we had, like door opening sensor, water leakage sensor.
It's not 4 sensors. It's for I think for 300 or 400 euro. It's written there on the promotion. But you can make whatever you want, like a bundle. You need to collect, and then a free miner will appear there in the page.
So basically you can configure it the way you want and reach a certain minimum amount that's mentioned on the website, and then basically you get the hotspot for free. And on top of that, you then already have devices that you can use to actually, again, like for example in your basement or somewhere else, like as a water leakage detector, whatever you need. So you have a list of 5 different things. You have the location tag, you have the open-close sensor, the CO2 sensor, the water leakage sensor, and the motion sensor, I think was one of them. No, like what was the 5th? Motion sensor, Yes, no? Yeah, so you can pick either like 1 of each or 5 of one, or so, like whatever suits you. And that's what I would do. But again, do your own research, check out HeliumMart.com. Especially in Europe, you can be sure that you have like one of the fastest delivery times that way. Within the European Union, you also don't have to worry about customs fees and stuff like that then anymore. So and also obviously if you are worried about, because there obviously during the gold rush, there were longer delivery times with some vendors. And if you're worried about customer protection and so on, if you're within the European Union and you order from HeliumMart.com, you obviously also benefit from all the beautiful customer protection regulations and laws that are there. So you can really order without a worry in the world. But with that, I would then say thank you very much, Hristo, for your time. I'm looking forward to actually scheduling another call we can dive deeper into that, because it's really, I'm really, every time like you just share something new and interesting. Just have to share the link real quick so somebody doesn't find the pinned comment. Copy clean link. There you go. Oh, that's not the, wait. So before multitasking. Can I copy that from here? God.
She's writing that she's in the US, so.
But then, you can still check out HeliumMart.com. Although there then, hotspot-wise, which one did you say is available for US frequency? There, now it's working. Copy.
It's the mouse site.
So there you can check out the multi-site hotspot. Is that the one that I also have? So the one that's like at least splash resistant and so on?
Yes.
So that one will...
It's an outdoor. And a lot of other stuff. It's expensive. It's not cheap.
It's on the pricier side. But other than that, so if you're in the US and if the multi-site, because you don't need an outdoor hotspot or for whatever reason is outside of your price range, you can also consider, there you have to be a little bit more careful in that regard, but you can consider, check eBay. But again, you have to be careful with used hotspots and so on. So if you were to buy on eBay or so, definitely make sure you pay with something like PayPal, where you have buyer protection in case you get a hotspot that has already been used and cannot be transferred or whatever. But other than that, what I can recommend as well, maybe, Hristo and his team are super friendly. So go to HeliumMart.com and maybe just use their contact form, reach out to them, and I'm sure they can point you in the right direction or show you exactly what they have in stock that fits your needs. Yeah. But with that, again, like I said, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it a lot. Looking forward to seeing you in person next time you make it to Germany. And we definitely will schedule another call to dive deeper into maybe one specific use case, or I don't know, like we'll figure it out. You guys, you can also let us know in the comments below what you would like to know more about. Like maybe you want to know more about a specific sensor type, a specific use case. So let us know. The more guidance you provide, or the more questions you ask us in terms of what you want to know, the better we are able to provide you with a part 2 of this call that actually answers the questions you are looking to get answers to. So thank you very much. Your time to say goodbye to the audience now, and then we'll call it a day.
Thank you too. Yeah, goodbye. I think they had enough of us, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So bye-bye, everyone.
Watching. There are still people that watch us, by the way.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much for sticking with us. Yeah. So